So let's get into the cartoons. You had 12 cartoons in your entry, right? And you're gonna walk us through all 12 cartoons.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about them as we go.
Let me, I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to pull up some of the cartoons. So just 1 second.
Mhm.
Okay. I tried to clean my desktop before I did this. It's
always
see
helpful.
my Trump color reference, the same picture.
All
My
you need
wife,
is an orange palette, right?
I almost want to pull this up real quick because it's just,
Go ahead. Yeah.
so this is the image that I used to pull the color palette so it's consistent in all the times I draw Trump. Just she can't stand it because she'll walk by my computer when I'm coloring and that'll be up on the screen, and it's not the most flattering photo of our commander-in-chief. All right, let me see. Let me go back to the beginning here. Sorry. Here we go. All right, here is the first of the entry of 12. So this one, the State of the Union is strong. This obviously took place, I drew this after the State of the Union, or in advance of the State of the Union of our president in his speech. And, you know, I wanted to sort of sum up the previous several years of chumming up to these dictators that we have. Vladimir Putin, Mohammed bin Salman, you know, and the leader of Brazil, Bolsonaro. I mean, I wanted to show sort of, you know, more of like a comical way of how just dark, you know, some of these bonds are that he has with these people, and just kind of, you know, keep it to a simple, strong image in what should be a very American State of the Union event. I tried to make it more about his anti-Americanism in a way.
Right. And, you know, the funny thing is when I saw this image, I mean, it was a great image and I immediately got what you were saying, but I also thought about, you know, the NFL players that sometimes lock arms instead of kneeling to show patriotism,
right,
or unity in some way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this reminded me of. But,
and I was almost thinking, like, after Charlie Hebdo too, a lot of the European global leaders would walk, you know, with locked arms in support of free speech. So that's sort of a universally understood, you know, sort of position of unity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great. And of course the no shirt on, you know, it's funny, Putin, every cartoonist I know draws him without a shirt. And it was one of those things kind of like Trump's tie that just kind of happened. He had that one photo on a horseback and without a shirt on. And then suddenly everybody's drawing him without a shirt. And even Saturday night, I think Saturday Night Live depicts him without a shirt on sometimes. Yeah. You know, so it's funny how those things happen, you know, and it happens, it almost happens globally.
It does.
And it's not really plagiarism. It's just, we all do it and it becomes,
it's like communal satire. Yeah. I mean, it's cartoonists are a part of it. And like, you know, places like SNL, like you said, like anyone that's a practitioner of satire kind of taps in this sort of to this collective imagery. And it's like we're playing off of each other, almost like how jazz artists, you know, would sort of speak to an artist and like reference some of their work in their work. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And then you can add your own little details. Like I like to add instead of a cross, because Putin usually has a cross. So I have a little T.
I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you got to put little Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Wow.
Cufflinks. And I usually, with Mohammed bin Salman, I'll often have, and you know, my editors don't like when I put too much blood in, but like some of the dirt around his hands, because his hands are always dirty or bloody, I'll tend to have, you know, referencing the death of the Washington Post journalist. So just little subtle details there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. All right.
Shall we move on? All right.
Yep.
Okay, so the next one here is Sweden does everything better. Safer cars like the Volvo, cheaper bookshelves, IKEA, and stronger leadership. And Greta Thunberg here with her fiery speeches on climate change, you know, standing up the world's leaders. In this one, women are hard to draw, I think, girls, women in general, because the line is heavy and it's somehow, you know, it ages, it's hard to sort of capture subtlety. So I was happy with my drawing of her just because it captured sort of this like her expression.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea was born from personal experience in a lot of ways, because for years I was a Volvo driver. I actually don't drive a Volvo right now, but that basically was like my car. I drew, and then I put together those IKEA bookshelves for my sons. So that's very much from life. And I have a friend, Sean, who had moved to Sweden years back, and we keep in touch every once in a while. And it's kind of a running joke that like just Sweden just does things so well, like, because we'll share stories and anecdotes. And so a lot of this is sort of from personal experience. And, when I was showing the idea around, because the thrust of the idea is at the end, the punchline, the third panel, just a child sort of like showing up. I wanted her stature to be, like visually large compared to the adults, which I depicted as much smaller in the background, and just showing how, sort of from the mouths of babes, like we need young people on this issue. But I was using the concept of, these other things to sort of speak to that. And I'm glad that it kind of communicated the way I wanted to.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite out of the portfolio, just because I think, climate change is such an important issue, but I also think you just nailed it, and in a very creative way that I didn't see anyone else sort of come up with a way of getting to this quite like this. So I thought this was really ingenious.
Thanks.
And I do love that, the adults, like you said, are in the background, and you still got the Trump tie.
Right.
Pointing to her a little bit, but
yeah,
I thought this was great.
That's the goal with these, with the challenge with some of the topics that we draw on almost every week, like climate change, is to try to be different. So I'm glad, this kind of was just a unique way to approach it.
Yeah, and I think that, as cartoonists, we all look at each other's work from time to time, or sometimes we avoid it when we're trying not to be too influenced.
It's funny, I do the same thing. I go from consuming lots of it to shutting it out.
Yeah, especially if you're, for me, especially if I'm coming up with something that I know other people are probably working on either that same day or the day before. Now with the internet, people can post it immediately, and I still like to wait till the next day to post it because of my syndication and whatnot. But yeah, it's hard to avoid it if you don't just turn it off, because you can see something and then it can ruin it for you, because you'll be like, oh man.
Right. I've changed gears several times based on looking at Instagram or Facebook and just ruining my deadline.
Right. Yeah. All right, here we go.
So the next one, The Call. And this was drawn at sort of the height of the impeachment inquiry in response to the Ukraine call, the center of the impeachment proceedings. And again, when something is, you can relate when these huge stories that are consuming the news every single day. For me as a cartoonist, I strive to just get a just striking image to sort of capture the moment in history. Not every time, but like on big issues, I kind of want one of these like more simple, strong images to just be more. I wanted this to be more artful. I wanted to convey a strong message, but also just kind of capture that moment and really have it just a little bit more into like just sort of like a thoughtful piece where it was capturing the visual of Trump on the phone, but like having him unravel. I wanted it to kind of really just represent unraveling more so in terms of his duty as president. And like I purposely made the phone cord connected to himself, because the call was all about him and all about what he wanted for his own reelection. So, I mean, I didn't expect readers to get that from that detail, but I put those little details in just, for extra layers. And also I thought this could be his undoing as president. And at the moment, of course, things are so crazy with this presidency that it seems so long ago, and it seems like not that big of an issue looking back, but at the moment it was the mountain of, what things were building up to be.
Yeah, and it was emblematic of his presidency, which was just, which is just out of control. And all about him. So that was great. I love your use of white space in this one too, because he just kind of disappears at the bottom. There's no there's no desk, there's no, you know, there's no surface. He's just unraveling.
Right.
So I thought that was really well done.
Thanks.